In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a Made by Google event recap. Let's get right into it. Okay friends, this comes as a surprise. I did not realize until late last week that we're having this event in August. Usually Google does their Made by Google event in October, but here we are in August with a ton of new things. This event was really long. This event had a lot jam-packed into it, so I'm gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna start with some spotlight things that Google really wanted to address at the start of the event. They like to do this. They like to lead with like big themes, and you'll start to see it trickle throughout the rest of the product updates. So one big spotlight is that they want to make AI helpful for people within their devices, especially the phones. So you're going to see a lot of AI in this video. Not a surprise at all, I'm sure. This year has been the year of AI, so you're going to see a lot of that. They also use the phrase tech stack a lot. And I've noticed this with Google as well. They try to make like these buzzwords, these buzz phrases at their events so that you can really cling on to it and remember that it's coming from Google. And essentially what their tech stack is a literal stack. They showed a visualization of a literal stack, and it was sectioned into two parts. The first section is a cloud, so like cloud type of services that Google provides, and then devices, which are of course the Pixel devices. And this tech stack, essentially what they're trying to define this as them having ownership of building strong tech infrastructures. At least that's what I got from it, to give us a seamless experience, such as through Gemini, through programs, Google Suite, things like that. So they use the combination of cloud and devices to make us have one fantastic seamless experience across the board. Okay, another big spotlight they had is that everything is revolved around Gemini, which I think is like a super version of Google Assistant. So when you hear me talk about Gemini in this video, I'm kind of putting it synonymously with Google Assistant, but it's better. We're saying goodbye to the phrase Google Assistant, and we're now talking about Gemini. It's super powered, it's amplified, it's bigger, it's better than ever, but it is very much like Google Assistant if you are familiar with Google Assistant and all of the things associated with that on the devices, on Google Home, stuff like that. Okay, and then another big spotlight is Gemini Nano. So it's the most efficient Gemini model according to Google, and it will be featured on Android devices. Now, not just Pixel devices, it's on Android devices. So you'll see it on other types of Android phones. And I think this is a push for accessibility across Android, kind of bridging the gap between Pixel devices and that exclusivity vibe that you get, like you get with the iPhone, say, and having it be more accessible across other Android phones. So amplifying Android, if that makes sense. And shout out to the latest Razer and Galaxy Fold phones, because those phones already have this Gemini Nano feature, or Gemini, and it's pretty cool that they already have it readily available. I think it was smart on Google to have it be available on those devices already, because one, people were able to use it, they had user data, they were able to test it out in real life, and also troubleshoot it before they announced its release on these new Google Pixel devices. So it's real life testing, which I appreciate and I think is really cool. And it also entices people to, pick up these Android devices so that they can get access to this feature as soon as possible, because it's available right now. Okay, so speaking of Gemini, let's talk about Gemini and some notable features that were mentioned in this event. So, one, it accesses or can access Google Suite with your permission to securely but efficiently assist you. So, for example, they use an example of Gemini accessing Google Keep, your Google Keep, and say you had a list of food allergies in a Google Keep list. Gemini can let you know if a certain recipe, if a certain meal would be, triggering those food allergies if you ask Gemini to kind of look through your Google Keep and establish that for you. So it can go into your different programs. It's all embedded into those different Google programs and can help you in so many different ways, in intuitive and clever, smart ways. Okay, there were live demos at this event, which I thought was interesting. They were very bold and confident to make that choice instead of having preloaded demos beforehand. And there was a hiccup. There was one or two times where things weren't going right, but after that, everything worked pretty seamlessly, which I do appreciate. I appreciate their confidence, but I appreciate the fact that we can see that these things are not 100% perfect 100% of the time, and it probably shouldn't be. That's just the way that technology is. So they were being realistic about it. I kind of appreciated that, but once again, the demos did eventually start working really well, and the demos showed just how intuitive Gemini is, even if you ask it complex tasks. So, for example, there was a demo where someone searched a YouTube video for a list, and it compiled that list and moved it over to Google Keep, which I thought was really cool. After they asked it to move it to Google Keep, they asked Gemini to create a themed playlist based off of all of the research they were doing in the YouTube video and compiling a list into Google Keep. All at the same time, all pretty much simultaneously, using like one screen, swapping back and forth, and Gemini kind of doing the brunt of the work, if that makes sense. So that was really cool. Another example, which is a little bit more smaller scale in comparison, someone was brainstorming an email draft, and they did it through Gemini, and after they came up with an email draft that they liked, they were able to very seamlessly shift it over to Gmail and send it out. Super simple, super fast. These demos were not slow. They were very, very quick, and that just shows how powerful Gemini is, as well as the performance of the devices, which we'll talk a little bit more once I get into the actual Pixel phones, specs, stuff like that. Okay, the last thing that I want to mention on Gemini before I jump into the Pixel phones is Gemini Live. So essentially, you can go live with Gemini or get on a video call, a FaceTime with Gemini, yes, this assistant, this AI, and you can chat with it as if you're on a video chat. That's exactly how the demo went. The person went on live with Gemini and was chatting with it very casually. They made sure to be deliberate with adding and actuallys, never minds, likes, like a lot of those filler words. They made sure to do that deliberately so that you can see that Gemini can decipher through all of that mush, so to say, and still understand what the question is you're asking it and come to a solution, which is also interesting to note. Gemini did also casually chat back with you. So it was talking very casually, not robotic. It was like talking to another human, which is why they're framing it as going live with Gemini. It's like you're almost going live with someone, or you're FaceTiming, video chatting with someone. Very creepy in a sense, but also very, very cool. I think they're trying to get AI to be as seamless as possible, as carefree and simple and just part of your lifestyle as possible, so that it doesn't feel like a burden or, very hard work to access it and actually use it. So they want you to have a good experience, which of course makes sense if you want it to be very close to human-like experience as well, right? Now, the interesting thing about Gemini Live is that it does have an exclusivity kind of thing. So people are getting first access to this on Samsung and Pixel phones, so not all Android. And it says that it's for Gemini advanced users. So I think there's a paywall happening here, and I'll probably confirm that later on as I get into the Pixel phones, which I'll do right now. But there is some paywall going on here to access Gemini Live. So moving into the Pixel phones and the details all about the Pixel phones, such as the Google Pixel 9, Google Pixel 9 Pro, and Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold, as well as the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. I'll establish all of that. So the first thing I want to mention is that these are the first phones designed with the new Gemini Nano, which I just talked about, with multimodality. What does that mean? I got the sense that it means that there are going to be a lot more widget capabilities in connection with Gemini. It gave me like Microsoft phone vibes. Do you remember that phone where it was all widgets? It gave me that vibe when they were showing like an example on the screen. So I think that's what it is, but I'm not too sure. But here are some features that are on the Pixel when it comes to hardware. First, new design. It kind of looks like the iPhone in my opinion. Don't really love that. I kind of like that the Pixel was going on its own path when it came to design, but some people might actually love the new design. The Pixel Pro and the Pixel Pro XL, the 9 Pro and 9 Pro XL, the only difference between those two phones, they're pretty much the same except for the size. And that was specifically because there were people that said that they wanted a Pro experience, but they didn't want a giant phone. For some reason, in the tech world, whenever we think of the Pro version of a phone, it's always giant, and I appreciate the fact that they took that into account and they made a smaller version for people who want a Pro phone at a smaller phone experience, such as myself. Hardware, once again, twice as durable as the previous phones. The Actua and Super Actua displays are still here. That is the same from last year. There's a 50% faster fingerprint unlock. That's pretty cool because I know there was a lot of complaints on that. There's a faster or fastest new Tensor chip G4. So basically the phone will perform smoother with a less of a battery hit. Speaking of the battery, there is nearly 20% better battery. They said that, quote, nearly 20% better battery, whatever that means. Okay, upgraded memory. There's also new cooling tech to maintain peak performance, even when the phone is working really hard, and we know the phone is working really hard because of all of this Gemini stuff. And lastly, specifically with the Pro Fold, when you fold the Pro Fold, it is very thin. They say it's like the size of the Google Pixel 9, but when you open it up, it opens into an 8-inch tablet with a very large display, probably the largest display. I think that's what they were trying to say. And it's brighter than the previous Fold phones. Okay, so that's all of the hardware. Moving on to the software. Some spotlight things. Satellite SOS. So this essentially helps you share your location with emergency services, even if you do not have cell service. So say you're hiking, for example. I think that's incredible. I love safety features, new safety features. Next thing is Pixel Weather. This is very niche, very random, but here we are. Essentially, it's a new Pixel Weather app. So when you access the weather from this app, you don't need to scroll through temperature numbers hour by hour like I do. It's customizable, once again, with widgets. We're leaning into widgets a lot. This might be because iPhone has been embracing widgets these days. I don't know, but it's very widget forward, which I think is pretty cool because you can customize it and move things to the top that are more important to you, such as UV, if that's important to you. Another feature, Call Assist. So now you have a new call notes feature that allows you to have a private summary of a call, including a full transcript. So when I say it's private, it's never sent to a cloud. The transcript stays on your phone, but it does alert the people that you're on the call with that you are doing a transcript. So just heads up on that. There's a new screenshots app. So you'll take screenshots on your phone, but it goes all to an entirely new separate app, which I think is really cool. And it organizes your screenshots with smart features to pull information, add notes, categorize, etc. It's just one whole entity, which I think is genius because I think all of us have like a screenshots folder in our camera app and it's a hot mess. But you can also ask this app complex questions. So you can ask for the price of an item if you did a screenshot of products, say, and it will find your screenshots that have price items in it, tell you the price that you were looking for, and it will even have links to buy the product, which I think is amazing, really, really cool. The next thing is Pixel Studio. This one feels kind of iffy to me, but it feels very much like a simple, basic, creative AI studio. So you can do creative things in here, and morally, ethically, I don't love that, but the example that they use in the demo is that you can make a really fast, easy, quick visual party invitation, and then you can make it right in there. You can ask Gemini to make the invitation however way you want. You can add text, stickers, all of that stuff, and then quickly copy and send it into a text message. Don't know how I feel about that, but okay. And then the last update here is RCS updates. So think about when you're having a group chat with a bunch of people who have different devices, iPhones, Android phones, all of that. And when you send an image or a video, it's very blurry and grainy depending on who receives it. Now with this update, everyone will get high quality images, which I think is genius. It's long overdue. I feel like since the beginning of sending media through text messages has always been really faulty. So this update has been a long time coming, and I'm appreciative that they worked on that. Okay, moving on to a whole new section when it comes to like software, hardware, the camera. We all know that I needed a whole section just for the camera. So here we go. They rebuilt their HDR Plus from the ground up. So you're gonna see improvements on a bunch of editing features, details like saturation, brightness, exposure, that type of stuff. They have completely revamped it and improved it. So that's really nice. It's a really nice detail for people who are interested in photo editing. Sorry, my sweater keeps falling. They also made improvements on skin tone, which is very exclusive to the Google Pixel devices, I'm pretty sure. They made improvements on their panorama tool and their panorama night sight tool. They did a direct comparison to the latest iPhone, and it was significantly better. A new feature called Add Me. This one's really cool. It reminds me of Photoshop. So say you have a picture and you want to be part of the picture, but you're also the photo taker. What you can do in this Add Me tool is you can take a picture of the group, leave a little bit of a space when you're taking that picture, and it will prompt you to take a second picture, and somebody else from the group can go in and take your phone and take the picture with you now in it. And you can just fill in that little space that you left when you were taking the initial picture. Also, the screen will have a prompt to make you align the picture perfectly the way that you initially took it, and it will fuse those two pictures together so that you are included in the overall picture. Think about Photoshop. If you have ever seen professional photographers do wedding photography and they needed to make a slight adjustment, they do the same exact thing, but they do it in a much more lengthy process in Photoshop. So I think that is super cool to be able to do at a touch of a few buttons on your phone. Incredible. Another tool called Made You Look. So this is very good for people who have babies and or pets. It has an option, the phone or the camera will have an option for you to visually show something interesting and colorful on the screen, or it will like do something audible, like an audible funky sound that will get the attention of the baby or the attention of a pet, so they would look at the camera and you can get the picture taken successfully. I think that is super cool. And a little detail that I think makes a big difference. And speaking of being able to see or, visually see something on the other side of the camera, dual screen preview. This is specific to the Pixel Fold. So say you're the photo taker and you're taking a photo of someone else, the subject, the person that you're taking a photo of, will be able to see how they look on one side of the Fold phone, and you'll be able to see what it looks like on the other side of the Fold phone. This almost sold me to get the Fold phone because that is genius. That is so cool and super useful, but spoiler, I did not get the Fold. Another thing, guided frame. So this is an accessibility feature for those who have low vision, and it essentially guides you to get the photo or the subject in the right frame so that you could take a really great photo. And then the last thing specifically with the camera is Magic Editor using AI. So there's things called auto frame, so you can fix slanted images. You can use AI to change certain areas of a photo. So for the example that they used, they had a photo that it was like a landscape and it had grass. They tapped on the grass and they were able to use Gemini to change the grass into wildflowers. They just asked it to change it to wildflowers and it did it. You can also zoom in really closely instead of tapping on one large piece. You can zoom in closely to the photo and you can tap an area that you want to add something, and you can tell Gemini to add something. They added a hot air balloon and then it was in the background of the photo. So it looked like a completely different photo by the end of it, and I thought that was super cool because it did not take long at all for them to do it. Again, all of these demos were done live. Okay, moving on to video specific details, dual exposure. So now when you're using the dual exposure tool, it will take two videos at the same time, one focusing on shadows, one focusing on exposure, and this will fuse together to create a sharper quality video overall, even in low light situations. And I don't think, they said that professional cameras don't even have this option right now, so this is very exclusive to the Pixel phones. They have a night sight video boost on the Pro devices, so you won't get this on the Google Pixel 9. They have 2 times faster rendering for video boost, so just a lot of overall boosting for video quality. There's a 5 times telephoto feature, so basically think of a photo that you took really, really large scale. You can zoom up to 20 times in, and the quality of that photo that you zoomed into will be super sharp and super clear. They showed an example of this. It was incredible. I think this is a really nice detail because I tend to do this sometimes. Another thing, they boost 4K video. So you're filming in 4K, but you can boost it to 8K quality, even though you're not filming in 8K. And you can grab high quality thumbnails through this so that you can use it for your YouTube videos. This is especially helpful for me because I do use my Google Pixel phone to make my videos. So I'll now be able to grab really, really crisp thumbnails for y'all, and I love that so much. Okay. Some perks if you were to pre-order the Pixel devices right now. They all come with 1 year of Gemini Advanced. So like I was mentioning before, there seems to be a paywall to access Gemini Advanced, Gemini Live, that type of stuff. You also get 2 terabytes of cloud storage, and you will still get your 7 years of updates through Pixel Drops. They announced this last year as like a new thing, and they're continuing to do that here. So that's another perk. Okay, moving on to the next devices, because there are a lot more devices to talk about. We have the Google Pixel Watch 3, and this one has a better battery and better brightness. It has 2 display options, so basically a smaller version and a larger version based on what you want. there is Google device integration. So you can use your TV remote from the watch. You can see security camera footage from the watch. You can use call assistance. It can hold a call for you for up to 1 minute. There are new fitness updates. So you can create custom workouts with intervals, targets, etc. There's more accurate heart rate. You can track the way that you run, so it can help you improve your running experience. There's a new readiness score. So they're improving that readiness score that was always there. There's a new thing called cardio load, which tracks your exertion to see if you're training enough or not enough. There's a Fitbit morning brief, which I think is very similar to the Aura morning brief that I have been comparing very recently in my Aura Ring video. So I do see that they know that they have competition with Aura, which is interesting. And they have classes from Peloton in the Fitbit app. There's a new thing called loss of pulse detection. So in case of an emergency, the watch will be able to see if your pulse is there or not. And I believe it sends to emergency services, which I think is really cool. And then some perks if you were to pre-order the Google Pixel Watch 3. You can trade in your Pixel watches if you have the 2 or the 1. Sorry, the lighting has changed. And you get 6 months of Fitbit Premium for free. Okay, moving on to the second to last device, Pixel Buds Pro 2. So they're saying it's the most comfortable of the Pixel Buds series, I guess. It cancels 2 times as much noise as the previous model. It has a new tensor chip inside of the earbuds, which I believe they said is the first in an earbud, period. There's hands-free Gemini assistance. There's 30 hours of active noise canceling, so it's using like the computer to do active noise canceling as opposed to just like physical noise canceling. There's adjustable twists on the actual earbuds, so you can adjust and customize how it fits in your ear. Genius. I absolutely love that. You can switch audio across devices seamlessly. You can connect it to Find My Device. You can customize the sound settings, which I think is a really nice detail because a lot of people ask me about that with my over-ear headphones, the Sony XM4s. So you can adjust that noise canceling and stuff like that. And then the perk, if you were to order the Pixel Buds Pro 2 or pre-order it, you would get $30 in credit to use in the Google store. Okay, moving on to the very last product, we have the Pixel tablet, or the newer version of the Pixel tablet. This one has multiple charging dock options. I don't know if the previous one did. This also has a tensor chip. They're really leaning on the tensor chip because they are building them from the ground up and partnering with others to create this tensor chip. So they're in all of the devices. It's integrated with Google TV and other apps. There's Chromecast built into it. You can easily pair to Pixel devices for sharing, casting, things like that. There's a Google Home app in there, and it helps the device work as like an old school Google Home, but obviously much more advanced. And the app is redesigned and looks way nicer. It's much more intuitive compared to like, I think the older Google Homes that had screens and stuff like that. And there is hands-free Google Assistant on there, as the case with all of the Google Homes in the past. There's an 11-inch screen. It's detachable from the dock. You can edit photos on this device from your Google Pixel phone. So like the photos that you took on your Google Pixel phone, you can edit it on this as well. Not sure how useful that actually is, because why wouldn't you just use the phone? But you can do that, I guess. And then a perk you can get if you were to pre-order this is that you can trade in your old tablet if you wanted to, and you get 3 months of YouTube Premium and 3 months of Google One storage. Okay, somehow I was able to get this hour and a half plus event into about 24 minutes. So I would say that's a success. If you're interested in what I pre-ordered from the event, I only pre-ordered one thing, and that was the phone. I ordered the Google Pixel 9 Pro, not the XL, the smaller version, because I personally like a smaller phone, and I got it in porcelain, and it says that it will deliver in the first or second week of September. So stay tuned for more videos on that. I will be doing unboxings, first impressions, week 1 review, and then a 6-month review, as you all know. But I hope this video was helpful. I hope it was much more seamless and easier to go through the super long live stream event. But let me know if you have any questions, any thoughts, any opinions on the event, or anything that I mentioned in this video. And thank you so much. I think I'm losing my voice, and I will talk to you in next week's video.